All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this third webinar in our series, Unlocking Collaborative Innovation and Discovering DefenseWERX Hubs. So we are going to go ahead and get started. It is 10:30, and this will be, again, a quick 30-minute webinar. Today, we are going to get to hear from HSWERX. Our director, Craig Zamary. We'll get to hear from Nautilus and FLEETWERX and Doolittle Institute. So these are the other three hubs that we have not heard from yet in our series of webinars. So we're excited to kick this one off. All right. So I'm going to give a quick overview of DefenseWERX, which is our parent company, the corporate company of all of the DefenseWERX hubs. So as you'll see on the screen, DefenseWERX is one of the world's largest innovation ecosystems dedicated to serving our nation's defense, national security, and intelligence communities. So DefenseWERX is a 501c3 nonprofit that partners with different government customers to create these innovation hubs. Each one has a different government customer associated with it that they are partnered with. So you'll see HSWERX is partnered with the Department of Homeland Security, and Craig Zamary is going to talk about that in just a minute. The last webinar that we had featured SoftWERX and EnergyWERX. Both of those are partnerships. SoftWERX is partnered with SOCOM, the Special Operations Command. EnergyWERX is partnered with the Department of Energy. And then today we'll hear from Nautilus and FLEETWERX and Doolittle Institute. So those are all the different innovation hubs you'll see on the screen that are underneath of DefenseWERX. So this is just a quick, easy to understand equation. So you've got DefenseWERX, the 501c3 nonprofit, partnered with NAVSEA, their Dahlgren division, which Graham Plaster will talk more about. So DefenseWERX has a partnership intermediary agreement with that government customer to create Nautilus. And the same goes for FLEETWERX and Doolittle Institute and HSWERX. And at this time, I am going to turn it over to Craig Zamary, the director of the Homeland Security Innovation Hub, to give a brief overview of HSWERX.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to special thanks to Kinsey Crim and Bridget Stouffer, our events and marketing leaders. So I appreciate all the work and effort to put this webinar together for our organization. Again, as Kinsey mentioned, my name is Craig Zamary. I serve as the director for the Homeland Security Innovation Hub, known as HSWERX. As Kinsey mentioned, HSWERX is one of many innovation hubs that are part of the DefenseWERX family. That most of our hubs are under partnership intermediary agreements with other U.S. government agencies throughout the United States. Our hub, HSWERX, we entered into a partnership intermediary agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, S&T T2C team in 2021, where we have amazing partners and teams there that we get to work with and support the components. Our mission at HSWERX is to enable the rapid discovery, engagement, and acceleration of innovative solutions for the safety and security of the homeland. As many of you already know, the Department of Homeland Security was formed shortly after 9/11. Today, it is the third largest U.S. government agency made up of over 260,000 highly dedicated employees to work and to secure the homeland. As you can see that within DHS, there's a number of components, and we, HSWERX, support those. Those range from U.S. Coast Guard to Customs and Border Control to FEMA, ICE, U.S. Secret Service. S&T is our partners at the Science and Technology Directorate to countering weapons of mass destructions and others. Again, all dedicated to helping to secure the homeland. I'd like to take a moment and just talk a little bit about what makes us unique. So we work with industry, academia, national labs. When I mention industry, that's small, medium to large Fortune 500 companies to the 1 or 2 person startups that might be operating out of their garage. We work at the speed of innovation, not at bureaucracy. And we also move very rapidly to help put the solutions in place for Homeland Security to rise up to their challenges. If you look at the bottom right box, it says discover, engage, and accelerate. This model and method has been successfully tried and tested for over a decade by our organization, and it's really meant to find the latest, greatest, best-of-breed technologies and solutions, get them into the hands of the warfighters and end users who are helping to secure the homeland as rapidly as possible. So this is just some of our recent efforts. As you can see here, these are efforts for TSA that range from airport optimization to working on vehicle cybersecurity for U.S. Secret Service. We've done a work with energy efficient propulsion systems for maritime vessels. Recently, just a little over a month ago, we had an effort that was in Virginia where we did BVLOS, which is beyond visual line of sight. That brought in a lot of folks from industry, also from academia, to come down. We had two other U.S. government agencies there. We had the FBI as well as Naval X, and it was a very, very solid event where, again, we're able to bring together folks from industry, academia, and national labs to help solve challenges for Homeland Security. The one that you're seeing to the bottom right there, is for first responders. That's with 911. And I'm sure as many of you know, 911 has not really changed much in the last 40 years. So this is an effort to really help take it to its next generation by adding in AI, using phones with video, text, and location to really help first responders cut the time down on how quickly they can respond. I strongly encourage you. I know Bridget will probably drop in the chat a link as well, so you can scan the QR code or you can click on the link to take a look at the license page on our website. So many people are not always aware that you can actually license technologies from U.S. government agencies. And so you'll see when you visit our website, the license page, a number of different types of technologies that you can look at licensing and commercializing and bringing to the market. Again, here's an opportunity to scan the QR code to join our ecosystem. Bridget will drop in a link as well. We really encourage you to join HSWERX ecosystem. This is where your innovation and expertise are going to help drive groundbreaking solutions that will protect our nation, transform industries, and shape the future of Homeland Security. So I want to thank you for your time and attention. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Graham Plaster, the director of Nautilus.
Hey everybody, like HSWERX, Nautilus is a PIA, and I like to call it in shorthand a public-private partnership. And we are partnered with Naval Surface Warfare Division Dahlgren. Next slide. The Naval Surface Warfare Center Dahlgren Division, it's a mouthful, NSWCDD, located in Dahlgren, Virginia, and they have an annual R&D budget of about $2.3 billion. And so the three technology areas that they're interested in below: integrated combat power, hypersonic weapon systems, and intelligent automation. If you drill down on those, they really include almost every kind of technology you could imagine. So we're helping bring emerging non-traditional tech companies to the Navy and also to the Marine Corps. The companies that are not typically bidding on government contracts, we're going out and finding those, getting them into the conversation, and trying to make sure that the warfighter, the sailor, the Marine has the best in breed technology in their hands. Next slide. Naval X, which is the Navy's innovation organization, also has what are called tech bridges, and they're all over the country, and they have a couple international. One of those tech bridges is co-located with Dahlgren. That's the Potomac Tech Bridge, and we work directly with them. If you're interested to reach out to any of the tech bridges, there's the website there, secnav.navy.mil/agility, and then you'll be able to see the technology areas each of the tech bridges focus on. Next slide. Dahlgren also has what's called an OTA that they utilize, which is called NISTIC, Naval Surface Warfare Technology and Innovation Consortium. So this OTA consortium allows for rapid acquisition outside the FAR. Next slide. That OTA has done a lot of projects, as we say, 83 project awards. They've obligated over $790 million. They have an industry day coming up in October. You see in the bottom line there on 4th of October in Fredericksburg, if you're interested. And there's been some research this year. If you want to reach out to me privately, I can send it to you, showing how PIAs and OTA consortia can work closely together. Because what a PIA can do is we can take the training wheels off an emerging tech and get it started, and then hand it over to an OTA for rapid acquisition. Next slide. These are all the technology areas of the OTA that's connected to Dahlgren. And you don't have to read all of them, but each of these falls into those 3 thrust area buckets that I mentioned before. So sensors, autonomy, cyber, hypersonics, all of those things. And that's it. I'm happy to be an open door for any of you that want to reach out. We work closely with the other innovation hubs, and we're not limited to the Navy. We can work on projects for other parts of government as long as there's coordination and collaboration with Dahlgren. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Really appreciate that. At this time, I'll turn it over to Morgan Bauer, who is a program manager over at FLEETWERX. Morgan, over to you.
Hey everybody. So FLEETWERX is the newest DefenseWERX hub for right now. We were stood up in July of 2023. And the advantage of working with the Naval Postgraduate School is, since it is a postgraduate institution for the entire DoD, there's a wide focus on what we can do. We cover everything from machining to encryption, and from the bottom of the ocean to outer space. Next slide. So far, most of our focus has been on rapid prototyping, the tech transition aspect. Recently, we put multiple 3D printers afloat for the Trident Warrior 2024 RIMPAC exercise, printing out parts on board ships that were actually used on the ship. For tech transfer, we're currently working on setting up a reverse pitch day at MPS with coordination from TechLink and local VC firms, which will be an opportunity for businesses to come license MPS technology and use it in industry if that's something that can benefit them. Let's see. Next slide, please. There we go. Now I'm caught up to where I was. And as far as ecosystem building, it's something that not only benefits us and the government partner, but it also benefits businesses together. It's an opportunity to pair smaller and non-traditional businesses with larger, more traditional firms, give them both exposure to what the other side does well, and set up lines of communication and cooperation for future ventures. And as far as workforce development, current and future, we are working on a cooperation with First Robotics, thanks to some help from HSWERX, internships, and setting up some job training opportunities. And finally, our whole goal is we want to reduce barriers and make things easier for those small and non-traditional companies to bring their capabilities into the DoD network. So to that end, we're very flexible, and we are open to your feedback on how we can serve you better. Next slide, please. And one of the benefits of this is that flexibility, which I mentioned. 3 out of our 8 current business-to-business agreements that we have been extended at the request of the government partner. So if you have a capability and you bring it in and the government loves it, we have an easy option to help extend that out and then ease the pathway for future acquisition. Next slide, please. And as far as IP, there is a lot of flexibility with how we structure that. That's something that's been brought up time and time again, especially as we now get into more software focus with some of our new project orders. We have a lot of flexibility on how we structure our agreement. We want to do it in a way that both allows the government some use, but business to also prosper from the agreement as well. Next slide. And like all the other DefenseWERX hubs, we're fast, we're flexible, and we're non-exclusive. We have a wide aperture at taking in those smaller and non-traditional businesses. And that is it for me. Next slide. You can scan this QR code. There's our email and our website if you would like to sign up for our ecosystem. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Morgan. It was great to hear from you. At this time, I will turn it over to Mike Edwards, who is the director of the Doolittle Institute.
Hello, everyone. Mike Edwards here. So we're going from the newest Innovation Institute to the OG. So we're the first one, and we were born in 2012. So we've been partnered with the Air Force Research Lab since then. So next slide, please. So I'm not going to brief this slide since Craig's already done a better job than I could, and I will move on to this slide because I want to highlight the fact that not only are we part of the DefenseWERX ecosystem, we're part of another ecosystem of Air Force Research Laboratory Innovation Institute. So these are all my sister hubs, sister institutes within the AFRL family and where they are located. And so the nice thing about that is we are all part of that network supporting AFRL as a whole, and it gives me and Doolittle access to the government requirements across a fairly broad aperture for the Air Force Research Laboratory. Next slide, please. And just like my fellow innovation hubs here within DefenseWERX, our primary focus is on tech transfer, both filling the government technology gaps in our current R&D with industry capabilities or licensing out government developed technologies and patents to industry in order to facilitate commercialization of dual use products. So Doolittle really operates as that intermediary in those spaces between government and our industry partners. Next slide, please. As for the spin-in tech transfer side of the house, where government is seeking industry expertise, I just want to highlight some of our topic areas. This is not an all-inclusive list, just a small subset. You can view the entire list on the primary vehicle which the lab uses for tech transfer efforts. So that is the Air Delivered Effects Broad Agency announcement. You'll see the link at the bottom of the page. But I do want to highlight some of the topic areas and highlight the fact that it's very, there's a wide-ranging spectrum of topic areas from very niche, very unique, like warhead research and munitions energetics. There's only a few folks out there that really has a whole ton of expertise in that. However, on the other side of that spectrum is more generic topics like cybersecurity for networks. In our case, it'll be networks of weapons, autonomy and AI, ML integration, various sensors research, etc. So you can see we have a very wide-ranging set of technologies, but we tend to take all those capabilities and apply them to the weapons portfolio within AFRL. So if you have capabilities in any of those areas, please hit that link at the bottom of the previous slide there. Sorry, I was rushing past there, Kinsey. Thank you. All right, next slide. And then finally, I also want to highlight some of the patents that we have available for licensing. These are government development technologies that, again, kind of go from one end of the spectrum being highly specific to weapons to all the way, broad commercial marketable technologies. Some of these weapons patents actually have been used in medical industry, auto manufacturing, modeling and simulation, RF communications and sensors, and just tons of commercial applications. So the great thing is at Doolittle, we can actually link you up with, in some cases, the actual inventor of that patent, so you can have a conversation about how and what you are trying to use those technologies in a commercial application. So that's, I think, one of the unique abilities that that all the innovation hubs bring to the table. Next slide, please. And then if you have any questions or any capabilities in any of the areas I talked about or want to look at some of those patents, you can find it at our website, and there's our email, which will hit my entire technology transfer program team, and believe that's all I've got for now. Thank you so much for inviting me, Craig and Kinsey and Bridget. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. All right. So before we go, we have a couple quick questions to ask each of our speakers today. Craig, I will start with you. We have a question. So since this is the last webinar, is this in the series, is there a new series taking its place?
Thank you for the question. It is a great question because our team is currently creating, it's a really dynamic series of webinars that'll be coming up. There's going to be a lot of groundbreaking innovations that are going to take center stage. So they're going to highlight cutting edge solutions that are aligned with Department of Homeland Security's 2024 to 2030 strategic initiatives. And these are going to help shape the future of national security and beyond. So we look forward to hopefully seeing you all there. And Kinsey and Bridget, I'm sure, will send out notifications when those webinars launch. So thank you for the question.
Awesome. Thank you, Craig. All right, Graham, I will turn it over to you. I have a question. Is Nautilus focused just on the Dahlgren, Virginia region?
It's not. As I mentioned, we have a very large organization, R&D organization that we're working with in very broad technology areas. And so they're very interested to partner with other parts of government. We can collaborate with Homeland Security, with the intelligence community, with non-national security organizations also. So if you're working with a partner and they have anything that's tangential to Navy technology, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, and then Morgan, over to you. Does Naval Postgraduate School have any upcoming opportunities or facilities for testing our capability/product?
Yeah, thank you, Kinsey. So NPS runs what's called the Joint Interagency Field Exercise 4 times a year, so once every quarter. The next one coming up is JIFX 25-1, I believe, in November. And it's a really great opportunity to be able to test out something that you're not 100% ready to show off for acquisitions folks, because it's a low threat environment where you can use it until it breaks, and you can also meet with some other people who are testing out their technologies and kind of work together to refine what you have and integrate it with other folks. In addition to that, we are also doing a quarterly Tech Tuesday, also in November, where you're going to be able to present some capabilities to faculty members at NPS.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that information, Morgan. That's really helpful. All right, and then the last one for Mike. What unique value does Doolittle or other innovation hubs provide to small businesses?
So aside from being completely free to use, and we hold no IP, just like every other innovation hub that we have here from DefenseWERX, the biggest advantage, I think, is direct access to scientists and engineers who understand the technical challenges and use cases they're trying to solve. Having been in industry myself, running a small business, I understand that sometimes the biggest challenge is understanding the details behind what is the government problem. And we beat our head against a wall trying to find out what that is. We work with the TPOCs directly that own these topic areas. And so I can put you in the room with the person who owns that technology requirement. I think that's the biggest advantage that we, as a whole, DefenseWERX as a whole, can bring to the table.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll second that for sure. So thank you, Mike, so much. We actually have done great on time today. I will likely be able to give you a couple minutes back in your day, but I did see a couple questions come through that I'm just going to answer really quickly. So someone in the chat said, what if a company has received SBIR and R&D from other agencies and would have unique and additional capabilities for DHS? That's awesome that you have had that opportunity. So I would recommend submitting to our capability intake form. We share those forms with DHS, and that's a really great way to get in front of them. So Bridget is going to drop the capability intake form link into the chat, and I would highly recommend that you fill that out. Again, no one outside of the government sees those capability intake forms, just to put that in there as well. And then another question that I saw, can you speak to any minimum TRL for your programs? So it's going to depend on each innovation hub and what the government is looking for. So sometimes challenges come through where a government customer doesn't necessarily know what their solution looks like. So we'll have collaboration events to kind of help them figure that out. And at that point, you're probably looking at fairly low TRL solutions if it's a newer technology. We've had other instances of events come out where they're looking for TRL 6 to 8, 5 to 7, something in that range. So it really does just kind of depend on what the government customer is looking for. Mike, did you have something to add?
Wow, that's a cool graphic. I didn't know that.
I love those.
I just wanted to add that for Doolittle specifically, we tend to live in that far left side of the TRL scale. So, 4, 5, sometimes 6 is where we tend to live. And then, there are obviously other hubs, FLEETWERX probably being one of the prime examples. It kind of lives on that far right end of the scale where they're ready for prototyping and engineering samples, at that point. So I agree with your answer 100%. I just wanted to throw out where I live.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome. Morgan or Graham, do y'all have any TRL information to add to that?
We can run the full length of the TRL spectrum depending on what the client wants to work with.
Awesome. I am checking real quick to see if there are any other questions that I think we can probably answer. Another one we got, how does a small business interact with DefenseWERX? Do they submit a white paper or a slide deck? Again, it's going to depend on each different innovation hub, but a great way to kind of figure that out is to go to defensewerx.org. There is a way that you can sign up for all of the innovation hubs at one time for their ecosystem announcements. It could be an assessment event. It could be a rapid prototyping event. SoftWorks also helps with the SBIRs. So there's multiple different ways that you can get involved with each hub. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, give you guys a couple minutes back in your day. If you have extra questions, please feel free to reach out to our team. I think the links have been put in the chat a couple times. But you have heard from Craig and Mike and Graham and Morgan, and I know that they are all more than happy to answer any questions you might have. So we're just here to help. We're here to try to get the government the best of breed solutions as quickly as possible. And however we can help you do that, we are here to help. So thank you all again for joining. Again, like Craig said, be on the lookout for our other upcoming series of webinars. Hope everybody has a great Friday.